Welcome, spies from the past. Wait, we did spies last week. Oh, computer geeks, that's a new one. This is episode 336 of An Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 8th of January 2020, and featuring Spyfall Part 2, written by Chris Chibnall, and starring Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, Bradley Walsh as Graham O'Brien, Tosin Cole as Ryan Sinclair, and Mandip Gill as Yasmin Khan. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and I've spent my week binging episodes about YouTube videos about Undertale. With me are Randy Ronson McCulloch,
I am still in quarantine.
Mad Matt Winchell,
And W Cream Soda.
and Thomas Fireheart.
God, I was trying to think of something to say, but I forgot.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan is with us in spirit, but not in physical body for the next few weeks. He's watching the episodes and leaving his thoughts, but his work is taking him away from podcast time.
Mm-hmm.
So, how have the rest of you all had life in the past week? I know I haven't.
I've gotten to see a movie, and I got the last of my Christmas presents.
The only time I've been out of the house was Tuesday, and that was to the doctor's.
And then right back home.
Well, I did swing through Arby's on the way back and try one of their chocolate mint shakes.
That could actually be interesting. But okay.
I had seen they'd had it on the billboard as I was going down to there, and I'm just like, hell with it. No matter what, I'm getting one on the way back.
You don't need to make direct contact.
Their mint tastes better than McDonald's, but their shakes are a little more. I could taste the ice crystals in it, and that was a little bit of a downturn for me. Of course, then again, I'm used to frozen custard, so.
Yeah, that's disappointing. So my last three presents, for my last air quotes one present, I got a gift card for Amazon. So what I did with that gift card, I bought the last half season I needed for the original 2 seasons of He-Man. I got an Outlaw Star when it first came out on DVD from Bandai, but their cases were really crap and were destroying the discs as soon as you bought them. So I've now got a Blu-ray and DVD combo pack of that to replace them with. And to top it all off, I have the 3 DVD collection of Coffin Joe. That's a Spanish horror series. The last one was filmed in 2008. And I believe the first one was in the 60s. Should be an interesting watch just to see how things change over time. Yeah, let me double check the back here. 64, 67, and 2008, and I think he made other appearances since then, in between and after.
Ugh.
Yeah, I've pretty much just been watching YouTube and playing video games, and that's it.
Yeah, that's basically been my life. Breath of the Wild, Conan Exiles, and epic rap battles of history.
Yeah, the streaming never ends for me. That's a daily thing, not even without this podcast.
I have been meaning to
watching Thanos get his ass beat daily.
I guess I did go to the movies on the week. No, it was Monday, but that was basically just seeing Knives Out a second time, and I took my dad along this time.
I did finally go to the movies on Saturday, but we'll cover that later.
We were supposed to go to the movies like a week ago, and because I've got a contagious virus, I can't.
Yep, that sucks.
Because it's funny, I don't have any Geek Talk this week, didn't last week, but I'll probably have at least 2 things next week, because I'll finally be going to the movies again.
Hey, movies.
To see new stuff.
So, all right, I guess we don't have much else left to do for opening here, so.
Yeah, so I'll get to it.
On tonight's show, we've got news and birthdays. Matt has one piece of Geek Talk. And then we'll be going right into our episode summary, review, final thoughts, and ratings. There's not a lot of news tonight, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably going to be a short one.
Ironically, there's more news about the upcoming season than we've had all year.
Yeah.
No. All right. So, starting with birthdays, with the 2nd of January is the birthday of Deborah Watling, who played Victoria from 1967 to 1968. She would have been 72, except she died in 2017 at 69. Next, we go up to the 6th of January, and that's the birthday of Rowan Atkinson, who's best known as Mr. Bean or Blackadder. But in this case, but in this case, we put him in the list for playing the Ninth Doctor in the comedy parody Curse of Fatal Death from 1999. He turned 65.
Speaking of which, Johnny English is getting a 3rd movie soon. So I hear.
And
he wants
finally,
to go one more time.
Finally, we have the birthday of William Hartnell on the 8th of January today. He played the 1st Doctor from 1963 to 66. He would have been 112, but died in 1975 at the age of 67. Wow. That's kind of mentally hard to think of, isn't it? Hartnell would have been 112 now.
Even more mind-boggling there is one Facebook page earlier today was sharing a photo of him from before World War II.
I think I might have seen that. Yeah. He was only slightly older than my great-grandmother. And she lived longer than him.
Anyway, that is the birthdays. So, posthumous happy birthday to Deborah, a happy birthday to Rowan, and a posthumous happy birthday to William. That takes us right into our Doctor Who news. And we're going to start with previous episodes in Series 12.
Okay, overnight viewing figures for New Year's Day's Spyfall Part 1 was that it was watched by an average of 4.88 million viewers. This is 21.6% of the total TV audience. This is down 3 million from last year's resolution.
0.3.
So this is down 0.3 million from last year's resolution, which had a total of 5.15 million. It was the 2nd highest rated show for the day, with Emmerdale taking number 1 with 5 million watching Coronation Street. With 5 million watching. Coronation Street was number 3, just behind Doctor Who. Stephen Moffat's new series Dracula had 3.57 million watching. These are not the final ratings. It does not include those recording the program to watch later. Final ratings from the Barb will be released in 2 weeks' time. It is possible that Doctor Who will be at number 1 at that time.
Yeah,
actually, that might be next week that those are coming out. That 2 weeks was from January 2nd. So,
yeah.
I think the recording thing is especially meaningful for this episode in particular. Not just because it's a season premiere, but also because it's a 2-parter. So more and more people are kind of, especially with kind of being conditioned by Netflix, people are not interested in watching a cliffhanger and waiting half a week as much as they used to be. A lot of people would just rather watch them all at once.
There's that, and there's just multiple reasons why you're going to be busy on New Year's Day anyways. So, to be honest, I understand why the viewings probably drop if we're going to get a lot of recording stuff later. Yeah.
So recording has been increasing every year, I think, anyway. But this in particular, as a 2-parter, and a New Year's Day special, there's even more reasons.
Oh, and what's got my eyes rolling, though, is people are already claiming just because these numbers went down, it's like, oh, it's doing worse than last year. It's like, oh, for crying out loud.
It's doing worse than a Dalek episode?
Yeah.
Really? Amazing.
that is still a matter of concern. I'm not going,
But,
oh my god,
I'm
oh
not
my
gonna say it's
god,
not
I'm
a
not
matter of
hitting the
concern,
panic
but I'm
button.
also of the opinion that it's quite possible that a mass majority of the people who are watching it last time for online are still there, as well as possibly additional more people now.
Give me
Things
the
kinda
final
change.
ratings, and I'll
Yeah.
start to feel concerned. Right now, I just have the feeling, like if I I would not have I would have recorded it and watched it later anyway. I would not have watched it New Year's Day
Yeah,
because
if
I
it
was
was not for
working.
the show, I would have recorded it and watched it later
Mhm.
myself.
Yeah.
Just give me the 2-part at once. I don't need to wait for an extra week with
Mhm.
tension.
Mm.
All right, so the next piece we have is the critic reaction.
Okay. The online critics took a look at Spyfall Part 1. Here's what they said. The Mirror said it was an epic start to the new series. The most exciting thing about the episode is the never ending twists and turns that quite literally left my jaw hanging open. The Radio Times saw the story as a vast improvement on the previous series. Part 1 races along and is slickly directed by newcomer Jamie Magnus Stone. The Telegraph liked the pacing. The episode, the first of a two-parter, zipped along with Whittaker doing her hyperactive thing and her companions given generous amounts of screen time. Den of Geek loved the plot twists. Spyfall, as you might expect from an episode that's so gleefully borrowing from 007 and his kin, is a globe-trotting adventure that barely ever stands still long enough to catch its breath. iNews compared the episode to the 13th Doctor's first season. Whittaker's debut series established a Doctor Who that had never looked more slick or cinematic, but Spyfall goes even further, with huge, stylish, lavishly shot set pieces like a frantic gun-toting motorbike chase through striking Californian farmland.
Which I think was actually in South Africa, but
Probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I don't think that was
yeah,
California. I'm pretty sure they went somewhere cheaper.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
people don't actually
the
film
Australian stuff
in
would
the
have been
States if
shot
they can
in.
help it.
Yeah, the Australian stuff probably would have been the same deal,
yeah,
considering there
just
were South
different
African
parts.
actors involved.
Mm-hmm.
But if I remember, that's where they went for on-site filming for that block was South Africa. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. That's where Fury Road was filmed.
And yeah,
Mm.
if they could do
actually,
if
it
they could do
wasn't. Fury
California
Road
and the
was
Outback
filmed
in the same
north
place.
of South Africa.
Still, it's in Africa. It's still cheaper to film there.
I
Either
mean,
way.
hell, isn't that where they did Rosa as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's just very versatile over there.
Apparently, they can make it look like 50s America and modern America. I don't know what that says.
Probably poorly kept versus more recently updated neighborhoods.
Or very old neighborhoods, either way. But yeah. All right. Next one.
Oh, yeah, that's moving on to overnight viewing figures for Spyfall Part 2. It was watched by an average of 4.6 million viewers, which is 22.6% of the total TV audience. This is down about 250,000 from Spyfall Part 1, 0.28 million. This was a disappointment for the series, making Doctor Who the 5th most watched show on British television Sunday, which beaten by its competition on ITV, Dancing on Ice, The Launch, which had 5.14 million viewers. Number one for the day was the return of Called a Midwife with 6.97 million viewers. Country File, the show immediately before Doctor Who, had 5.04 million. Football's Match of the Day also did well with 5.14 million that afternoon. With the whole week's overnights now in, Doctor Who is in the 24th and 28th most watched programs. Number one was the New Year Fireworks on BBC One with 10.33 million watching. Again,
Do you
these are
remember
not
when Doctor Who got those kind of ratings?
Russell, we need you.
And again, these are not the final ratings. It does not include those that recorded the program to watch later. Final ratings from the bar will be released on Monday.
Yeah, it's still very true that back in the day we didn't have the option for recording and watching later as readily
Yeah.
as we do now.
Right.
Yeah. Plus, in Classic Who's era, there was like what 4 channels to choose from, if that.
I mean, I understand why the New Year's fireworks get that kind of viewership, but the fact that people that were watching the show before Doctor Who,
Turned off, yeah.
and then half a million people turned off for Doctor Who, that is a little bit of a cause for alarm.
Because the funny thing is like I know that Australian ratings would never be anything to go by, considering as soon as it's finished airing in the UK, it gets put up on ABC iView over here. So if you have the day off, you can watch it during the day instead of when it actually airs here on TV.
Yeah, we used to get the Australian overnight figures. We don't bother anymore. Because it was very hard to tell, and it was usually less than 1 million anyway.
Yeah. Like Australia is like the UK. It's like most of the shows getting the best ratings will be reality TV stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's the same it is here, unfortunately.
I don't get why reality gets
There's basically
it's
3
cheaper
tiers.
to make, basically.
It's basically 3 tiers of television: reality TV, crime dramas, everything else. That's pretty much the rating system by popularity here in the U.S.
And I don't know why reality is still a popular thing. I thought a lot of people were getting tired of that bullshit like 5 years
They
ago.
have to an extent, but a lot of the faux reality competition shows have gone away. Instead, there's things like Gold Rush, where they basically spend a year with guys mining gold in Alaska, you know.
Deadliest Catch. Yeah.
But
I blame my parents on that one.
it's not so. It's like reality TV is kind of mutated. And when there are competitions, it's things like cooking shows and dancing shows and singing shows.
Yeah.
And I don't really count those as those have been around since the dawn of time. Well, the dawn of television, anyway. Anybody remember Star Search? The Gong Show?
I was about to say the Gong Show.
Yeah, there's been a lot of shows over the last.
Wasn't Oingo Boingo on the Gong Show at one point?
Yeah, but they were the Mystic Knights of Oingo Boingo at the time.
Yeah, that was one of the earlier interpretations.
That was back when they were truly bizarre.
That's back when they were actually technically a band.
Yeah, basically take any show that's existed over the past 10 or so years that was reality based in some way or a talent show, and see whether it still exists in the UK, in the US or Australia. Probably not, but it's probably still going in the UK.
UK can be weird like that sometimes.
Pretty sure Big Brother is still going over there.
Ugh.
Oh God.
Murder me.
That was yeah.
Next. Oh look, Doctor Who 12 Series 12 new episode titles. Go.
Yeah. So our friends over at Doctor Who magazine somehow managed to finagle the next few episode titles out of Chibnall, as well as synopses and cast list. Here they are, and we're going to skip episode 3 as we covered that one last week. So episode 4 is Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, written by Nina Metveyer and directed by Nida Manzoor. The synopsis is, the time, the earliest years of the 20th century. The place, New York City. Inventor Nikola Tesla is at war with his rival Thomas Edison. However, there's an even greater threat in the midst.
It's a strange way to spell South Africa.
The cast list is Goran Visnijic playing Nikola Tesla, Robert Glenister playing Thomas Edison, Anjali Mohindra playing Queen Skithra. Oh.
So not the Master then.
Well,
yeah, that's not to say that the Master couldn't be there, but
no, but that gives me ideas.
And Haley McLean plays Dorothy Scarrett, Tesla's assistant. Yeah, if you've been watching the next episode or the season trailers, you know who the villain is in that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I take it that's Arachnos.
Yeah, we
Most
think
likely.
so.
Or again, some like Ragnaros related race, like
Well, they
offshoot
believe
sort of
themselves to
thing.
be a queen, so.
Episode 5 is Fugitive of the Jadoon, written by Vinay Patel and directed by Nida Manzoor. Synopsis: stomping their way into present-day Gloucester, the Jadoon are on the hunt for someone on the run. Who is this fugitive? And why are these alien mercenaries after them? Guest list is Joe Martin as Ruth Clayton, Gloucester tour guide. Neil Stuke as Lee, Ruth's husband, and Paul Casey as Jadoon leader. These, of course, are the additional cast. I'm not going to include our main cast in each one of these.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, episode 6 is Praxeus, written by Pete McTighe and directed by Jamie Magnus Stone. That's the same one that directed Spyfall Part 1.
Yep.
Synopsis: the Doctor and her friends split up to investigate multiple mysteries across planet Earth. What they find will threaten all of humanity. And here's some additional information from Pete McTighe. When we come into the episode, the Doctor, Graham, Yaz, and Ryan are already split up around the globe investigating strange goings-on that are linked to a brand new alien menace. Prepare for a fun roller coaster of an episode with some genuinely disturbing moments. And watch the skies. The guest cast list is Joanna Borgia as Gabriella, a young blogger, Matthew McNulty as Adam, and Molly Harris as Suki Chang. So that's what we have thus far. Episodes 7 through 10 are still untitled, so hopefully we'll see those in upcoming weeks. Next up, we have pictures from the upcoming episode 3. Let's take a look-see.
A young person with green hair.
Very green hair.
I didn't know My Hero Academia was getting a live action already.
Look at that. An old couple with an old guy on oxygen.
An old couple. No, apparently the Doctor has a nose thing too. Also, her shirt's a lot brighter blue. Usually it's darker, almost maroon blue, like the inside of her jacket.
It's darker in other shots, so I think it might just be the lighting.
Maybe. I don't know. Usually her shirt's as dark as her jacket, though. So, oh.
She mopping the TARDIS in that? And oh my
Hey,
god, that's
the mopping the TARDIS while there's a giant tentacle.
a giant tentacle.
I've seen enough anime to know where this is going.
Oh God! I knew someone was gonna make that joke. I just didn't want it to be me.
I thought of it, but I decided to have taste and not say it.
Oh, come on, you know better.
And now we have an older guy with green hair. So apparently that's a family trait.
Possibly.
So it is an anime.
Yes.
And oh my God, Graham has the Tesseract.
Or is that one of the boxes from the Power of 3? Oh dear.
So now we know the fact that the
not
season
bland enough for
finale
that.
is going to be Thanos coming for Graham.
So which of these characters is actually Loki?
Come on, that's the freaking Tesseract. Look at it.
So is he gonna get the Infinity Gauntlet running and snap his wife back into being?
Yes, it's now official. Doctor Who is joining the MCU.
Would make things slightly unusual and very interesting. It would also make you wonder why these superheroes have never faced Daleks yet. I kind of need them once in a while. Anyway.
By the way, can I just say that naming something Tranquility Spa is just asking to be attacked by aliens?
Right? Especially in the middle of the universe, out in the middle of nowhere.
Mind
just
you,
asking for harm.
if you are running a vacation spa, Tranquility is actually a good name. But still, yeah.
It's tempting fate.
It might as well be calling someplace Crystal Lake.
It might as well be named What Could Go Wrong, the resort.
How hard could it be?
Might as well be placed right in the middle of a giant intergalactic neon target just saying, kill us here.
I still want to take that picture and post it going, Graham has the Tesseract. We've got issues. Or post a picture of that and then post a picture of Thanos looking hungrily at it. Right.
Actually, does that mean that Jodie Whittaker is female 4? No,
that one went over my head.
Mine too.
You're not aware that the female Thor is coming out in the next movie? Okay, fine, bye.
Oh, you said Thor.
Yes.
I thought you said female 4, and I was like, who's
Thor.
female 4?
Yeah, I heard 4 too, so I'm like,
oh my word.
like I said, I have not gotten a lot of sleep in the last 24 hours, so.
You people. Thor, Thor, Thor.
Just say Natalie Portman.
All right.
I know her more for V for Vendetta and Star Wars. She was in I guess she was in 2 movies, but I've only seen one of them.
Although I guess now she's going to be Thor, that makes her a Disney princess twice.
It kind of almost does, doesn't it?
Well, actually, no, because she wasn't really the daughter of anybody in Star Wars, so.
That's true. She was actually voted into position, I believe, in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Leia gets the Disney princess title. She does not.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, that is all of our news this week. There's been nothing coming out of Candy Jar Books. Big Finish has been posting stuff, but not in a format that we can report on.
There is a new Diary of River song, but we don't have a proper link for it, so.
Because their entire article was, this is what happened in the previous 6 diaries.
Which, on its own, that kind of makes me feel like this is going to be the week entry. I think this is her going back to solo adventures after meeting every Doctor and the Master in previous box sets. So, yeah.
It's Diary of River Song, Volume 7. We're running out of ideas. Told you I haven't been stoked on that whole series in the first place, because
just do a River and Bernice Summerfield tag team box set. People have been waiting for
River
that
and Bernice
since
take
River
over
was
the
introduced. Or alternately, they wind up in a crapload of trouble and the Doctor has to come bail them out.
Anyway, that takes us to our Geek Talk section.
And I'm trying to find a picture because apparently the picture I originally picked didn't load. There we go. So, yes, I have joined the list of a majority of us that have gone to see now Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I believe out of all of us here, Randy's the only one that hasn't seen it, or was there a couple others?
Randy and Tim, I think.
I have not seen it, but I'm planning on seeing it as soon as I'm no longer contagious. I say angrily.
I mean, it's Star Wars, so there will be plenty of time.
Yeah, it's technically Disney. Even if it wasn't doing as good as it is right now, it would still stay in theaters for a while, just in case. So what did I think about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker? It's a mixed frickin' bag. Like, a good half of the movie is making up for the previous movie, and also rushing plot points so fast that it whizzes by you without you barely having the time to go, wait, that didn't make sense, before you're pushed into the next scene. Other bits of it, in particular, some of the basically anything around Rey in this episode seemed to actually work really well for me. The main three partners she's had since the first two, since Force Awakens, were pretty good when she was around, and whenever she and Kylo and the obvious end villain were having stuff going on, it was usually pretty good. Although I will say there was a little bit to be desired at certain points, but majority of it was pretty good.
I
So
was gonna say, considering half the controversy of this movie has to do with her various different relationships with different characters, I think that's a controversial stance to take.
it's still the stuff that was done the best. I'm just saying facts.
Yeah.
The rest of it was really raced and hodgepodge, and oh, I hate what they did to Leia. I despise.
Mm.
I absolutely loathe.
So are you in the camp that they should have just killed her off
They
screen
should have
between
killed her off in the
movies,
previous
or-
movie.
yeah.
They literally had an entire year to edit that movie to make it so she could have been removed properly.
Mm.
And that could have
I
actually
mean,
fixed
as
that
far
movie
as
a
I
little bit
know,
too.
they had, like as far as I know, I mean, it's one of those things where you can tell certain elements were supposed to be Leia stuff, but it's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
we don't have Leia to work with,
I-
so we have to give this to someone else.
100%.
And with me, it was like at first when I saw that they were doing that, I was like, but then I was like, okay, I want around, I'll just wait for the movie to come out and then I'll judge how they actually make it work. And
This
I
is
was
one
then
where
like, okay, this movie didn't make it work for me.
No.
this is one where I kind of want to see the novelization to see
What was intended.
just to see how they, like, because obviously, like, there's things where, well, they couldn't get Carrie to come back and re-record certain lines, obviously, but in the novelization that's not an issue. So like there might be certain scenes where I thought that, like, in here, knowing that she wasn't around to record the dialogue, it comes off very abrupt and weird if you don't know that already. So there's certain scenes I think will be a lot better in novel form.
That, and I think also the editor for this movie was really sloppy.
Also,
They
I
were
think
rushed.
the
Like, they didn't finish
impression.
editing until like the week before release.
Yeah. Randy?
it's kind of what you're saying about Lee. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah,
Because if they had
definitely.
cut her out, we would have been blasting them for cutting it out. Not knowing what they would have done with it, we would have still been blasting them for it because it was basically supposed to be her movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff she was supposed to be part of.
Yeah, for me, the thing is, what you do is, and this occurred to me after the fact when I was seeing people talk about it, you make the movie about the absence of Leia. The thing that would have pissed me off if they hadn't had her in it at all was if they were just like, gee, I wish Leia was here, and that was it. I was like, no, Leia's a big deal. You would have to, like, my thing was always open with a funeral.
If nothing
make
else,
a big
yeah.
deal out of the fact that she's gone. Like,
If nothing else,
there
at
are
least something
actually
like that,
certain
just so you can
scenes
save
I would
yourself.
argue.
Yeah.
There are actually certain scenes I would argue play better if Leia's not there, because you can argue that, oh, the context is this character is feeling this way because Leia's not around. But yeah, it is one of those things of like, I can, I give them credit for at least trying, but it's still just like you could have just.
I can't give them credit for trying because
Now-
it feels like they just took a corpse and tugged it along by the strings.
That
Well-
said, I think part of this has to be put on the fact that someone, I don't know if this was Kennedy, I don't know if this was a higher up at Disney, I don't know if it was I don't even remember the top Disney guy's name, but
Bob
someone
Iger?
decided
Bob Iger,
that yeah, Iger. Someone decided, well, despite all that's going on, we still need a numerical episode every 2 years. We can't give them an extra year to actually work out the
something
movie.
that's always
I believe
bugged
that was an
me
Iger
is-
idea originally.
Yeah, because you look at the original trilogy and the prequels. There were 3 years between each. So why the
Mhm.
hell
And
were
they
there
didn't-
2 years between?
And they didn't
these?
have any major cast members dying in production.
Yeah. I do recall someone saying, well, they should have done what the Lord of the Rings did and shot all 3 at once. And it's like,
That's a big maybe.
yeah, that I probably wouldn't have done.
Lord-
but
Lord of
still,
the
at
Rings
least
is
then
set
it
on
would have
one-
forced them to have a plan.
Lord of the Rings is set on one planet.
Yeah.
So
That still doesn't stop it.
you guys have heard the
most of it's
rumors,
studio
right?
work.
The JJ rumors, you mean?
That there's a new movie now slotted for 2022.
Oh, I think
Oh,
I've heard
come
something
on.
about
Yeah,
something
but I
in
haven't
the
heard it
next
from
couple
a
years,
I
but
haven't heard it from a real source yet.
yeah, I'm waiting for like
Yeah.
any confirmation on
Rumor.
dates and the actual movie plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope not, because I remember them basically saying, well, now that D&D trilogy isn't happening, that they were just going to like leave the 2022 slot empty and like fill the other 2 slots with other stuff. And I'm fine with that
I-
because Star Wars needs a break. I don't care
honestly-
what you think on any of the movies that have come out the last 5 years. Star Wars needs a fucking break.
Honestly, I think the best thing they can do for the brand right now is Mandalorian the movie.
No, not even the movie. Just Mandalorian the series. Keep it going.
Well, I've seen even people just saying, do less movies, focus more on streaming stuff. Like,
Well, that's because
you
they
know.
got people who are competent and dignified trying to do the streaming stuff. They actually know what they're doing, apparently.
Give Taika Waititi a movie about stormtroopers.
Yes. Yes.
Which reminds me, I was recently reminded that as much as I was about to be like, oh yeah, let me get a Disney Plus free trial and binge The Mandalorian, they're soon going to be starting all of the Marvel streaming services, shows, and I'm like, but will I want to binge them? Do I want to wait, or do I want to do my free trial now?
I do wonder if those are going to be 1 episode a week if they
I think
don't
so. I
stack
think
them
they're
anyway.
supposed to be
not,
like 1
Bill.
episode
There
a
is
week
no
for like
try.
6 weeks.
Binge or do not binge.
But no, it's just honest to God, Taika Waititi should just do Troops the movie.
Just the Laurel Hardy of stormtroopers and just watch them bumble through the universe.
Just various cutscenes with various troopers at various points during the Empire's reign. Get freaking Chad Vader to come down and do Darth Vader as a cameo.
Now that's a name I've not heard in
A long
Some
time. A long
He's still around, but he's not really doing much as Chad Vader anymore.
Mhm.
At least not in person. I hear he's still doing voice acting though for different Star Wars
Yeah.
properties. So
I could just imagine him do just a bunch of outtakes cutting in with the movie where he just comes in and be like, "What the fuck is this? My grand nephew is causing all sorts of bullshit."
No, I didn't say have him come in as Chad Vader. I mean, they've had him being the voice of Darth Vader on a few of the games and stuff.
Ah,
But, have Darth Vader come in, have Darth Vader come in after having a bad day and, force choke out one of the guys. It's like,
just marches past a bunch of stormtroopers that stop and salute, and then he just kind of slowly turns and looks at them. What do you think you're doing? Get back to work. And you just see them race off quickly. And one of them
That
just
was
puts around the
close.
machine and just starts choking them. Actually, watch him
Great.
go to his private quarters and have him freak out like Kylo Ren.
So does
Well, no,
that
you just
move
have
us
him
on?
choke somebody out. The troops look at each other. Great. That was Moff Tarkin's coffee boy.
Who's gonna give him coffee now? I'm not it.
Just weird stuff like that. I would love the hell out of that movie because it was just, it's pointless but funny. Which, Star Wars kind of needs the lighter side of things at the moment
Yeah.
because it's been a little too angsty.
Although I will say that if we were supposed to do something like that, we do need to focus it, and I assume on at least 2 or so stormtroopers that are the main focus of the movie, and then just have weirdness happen in their general vicinity.
To be honest, that's the only way I'd be satisfied with. If it was supposed to specifically be OT era stormtroopers, that's the only way I'd be fine with that. Because otherwise, after this, I want them to just not touch anything in the timeline revolving around the Skywalker saga. Do stuff set before, do stuff set after. I don't
way after, because
yeah.
this has just been a mess now.
Because
I think
I'm just the one positive I have coming out of that movie is we're done. Okay,
Yeah.
we can move on from these characters.
We are
and
done.
we can do some
we are
new shit.
moving on, please.
Speaking of moving
Mandalorian,
on,
don't
'cause-
touch.
It's like the only 2 stormtroopers that managed to survive most of the original trilogy conflicts. Just by
Speaking of moving on, does that bring us to our summary?
I
yeah.
suppose.
Hmm.
I got the stopwatch. Actually, it's supposed to be my turn, so actually Randy needs to get up the stopwatch.
Oh yeah, hang on. Stopwatch. Come on. All right, I'm ready. You ready?
All right.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
We start off the episode with the Doctor in the limbo area while the other 3 companions are currently falling in a airplane that no longer has a cockpit. Suddenly, a video starts up on the screens inside of the airplane, and it's the Doctor, and she's telling them that they need to start getting some stuff together and start fixing up the plane. Just this moment, Ryan does see a series of small signs near the floor of the plane and manages to find instructions and a hookup device to get his phone to start controlling the plane. They finally level out the plane and get it to land, and then quickly make their escape and hide. Meanwhile, the Doctor is trying to figure out where she's at. Does figure out that she's in possibly another universe where these light creatures originally come from, and actually hears another voice and goes to investigate. She finds another woman has been trapped here, but she has, I guess, Victorian era kind of outfit on. I forget what era she's from, but it's it's a much older outfit. I know that much for sure. After a bit talking, the woman speaks of the light people as her guardians, and that if the Doctor would take her hand, she could take her back to her time, possibly, or something to that effect. The Doctor finally agrees and gets warped into that woman's present day time, and is most definitely in the distant past, although there's some weird stuff going on. Not limited to the fact that suddenly a few moments later, the Master suddenly appears and starts opening fire on people with the shrink ray and tries to get a hold of the Doctor and possibly other things going on. The woman that came with the Doctor decides to open up with first of all a hand grenade and then a minigun that's on a tripod in order to stun and knock off the Master until he's able to recover, by which point the others have made their escape and they're trying to figure out what's going on. Back to the companions, they finally figure out that they're being followed by their devices. They manage to smash them and abandon them and then flee off into an area where they can be completely disconnected. A little while later, however, the creatures of light do show up, but they're able to defend themselves with the spy gizmos they were given by MI6 and manage to supposedly defeat them and continue making a run for it. The next day, they decide to make a phone call at a phone booth, which gets the police to show up, but that was their plan as Graham was hiding with his laser shoes and opens fire and warns them to lower their weapons and for the other two to take the vehicle so they can get out of there and make their next step in their plan, which is trying to figure out where all this is going on, which leads them back to the airplane field. Whilst this is happening, the doctor does another time leap with the woman that helped her, and they end up in World War II in Paris. They meet a spy at the time, and with a little bit of her help as well, they set up a trap for the Master while gaining the information they need. This ties up the Master long enough that the Doctor and the other two can find his TARDIS and officially have a way to more safely time travel and make their way back to the present day. They finally, on the way, figure out what's going on with the alien invaders and figure out that the device, which looks like a wire human being, has something to do with it all, and go about disabling it, which the Doctor does time travel to preset a failsafe device to make it stop. Also, they show up just in time for the Master to be there, along with the three main companions, so they can show the device as it fries just in time, but also give the message to the aliens that the Master set them up for a fall, to which they take the Master and put him in the limbo state, where the Doctor had been previously at the beginning of the episode, and allows the Doctor to quickly run off with the two new time travelers, not only to put them back in the right time, but also to set up the thing in the airplane and come back for the main trio, and then proceed back into space and time once again. The end.
So you did that in about 4 minutes, 33 seconds, but you did forget a chunk.
Oh?
The Doctor returning to Gallifrey.
Oh, I did leave that out, didn't I? There was that bit. It was very quick, but there was that bit.
Mm-hmm. And her finding it burned, skull, and scorched to the ground.
And the Master admitting that he's the one that did it, apparently, for some reason. And he spoke of something that gave the Doctor some weird flashbacky things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he basically said, this is a plot we're going to talk about in the season finale. Woo, woo, woo.
Might not even be the season finale.
Ooh.
It might be just this ongoing piece by piece that we get each season.
You mean each
until
episode?
we're ready to deal with it. We'll see.
It'd take more than a season to take care of whatever's going on there. I'd be more than slightly annoyed.
Well, they first brought it up in Series 11.
Yeah.
Remember when the Doctor was being strangled by those towels? I'm just going to call them towels. On the planet of the utterly hostile planet. That wasn't really that hostile.
It wasn't really that hostile. Yeah. What about them?
They mentioned it, that they could see it into her, and mentioned the timeless child.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
that thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they show a little flash of her with them when the Master brings it up.
Mm-hmm. So this is something that the seeds were laid in Series 11, is being fleshed out in Series 12, but we may not see it resolved until Series 13, 14, or 15. We know that
Chibnall, the 60th.
We know that Chibnall is playing a long game now, which is interesting.
As long as it's not as long as the Moffat game, which is always 2 or 3 seasons ahead of what he's actually written.
I'm still of the opinion that Gallifrey suffered enough. Can we just leave it alone?
Well, it depends,
just
because
get rid of it
there's at least one person who should be on Gallifrey that we haven't seen yet, and I'm really hoping that this plot involves her coming back to resolve things.
Actually, there's a couple people that should be on Gallifrey that we haven't seen yet and lately, and it could be nice to get some of them involved.
I'm specifically referring to the former president.
Mm-hmm. And friend. Actually, technically friends.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be funny that the only people that survived the purging of Gallifrey was fricking Rassilon and his cronies.
Odd. Well, the doctor kicked Rassilon off of Gallifrey.
Right.
Mm.
And it said that most of the High Council went afterwards,
Mm.
as he was not very happy with them. So that means that if the Master destroyed Gallifrey, that means they're still out there.
Possibly.
They could be setting up new Gallifrey.
Oh, won't that be annoying?
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about what we liked about this episode instead of predicting where shit may fall.
And we start with Tim.
Yes, Tim enjoyed the opportunity to see Nor and Ada not only interact with and react to the Doctor, but also with each other. Was kind of interesting. And as for the rest of us, Bill, what about you?
Right.
What did you like about the episode?
So I liked the manhunt through time. I don't think we've ever seen something like that explicitly in Doctor Who, where we see one Time Lord stalking another through the time stream.
No, the closest we've seen is the Daleks stalking the Doctor through the time stream.
Yes.
And that
When
was the
that?
chase.
Oh,
that
the
was,
chase.
That was the chase
of
for
course.
the first Doctor. Yeah,
I
it's
forgot,
been a long time since we did
And the
chase.
It was more. It was at least semi comedic. It wasn't played up. The danger wasn't played up in the same way.
They were running for their lives, dude. They couldn't stay long. That's the reason why it
Yeah,
was a chase.
They were like blundering through like historic events and shit like that. Like like literally blundering, not like this. This was played in a very different way, is what I mean.
Well, the first couple bits of this was them blundering and then finally course correcting.
All right, Thomas, how about you? What did you like?
You know, this is something that someone else brought up in a thing that I was watching, but you know what? I think I'll probably latch onto that. The idea of, and I guess it's sort of piggybacking off Tim's a bit, but the fact that I had no idea who these historical figures were was actually kind of nice. Because it's like you're so used to they'll go for the obvious choices of like, oh, I know who that is. Like hell, later we're getting Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison. It's like, I don't know who they are. I probably don't know a shit ton about them, but I at least know they exist. I had no idea who these two were.
I want to see how much of a douche they make Edison, because apparently Edison was a complete asshole.
I mean, we got its peak of that sort of character in the previous season, so I'm expecting a lot.
I will say on that similar line, I'm like, how much of what they said about these characters is really real? And I did Wikipedia them and go, okay, close enough. A for effort, underlined.
I did some of the same thing.
Because there's a few moments where I'm like, are they laying it on too thick, or are they actually legit like quoting some stuff to us? Okay, they were quoting some facts to us. Okay, it's a little hammy, but okay, I'll let it slide this time.
A little hammy. All right, Matt, how about you?
General thing I liked overall is that everything tied back together by the end. There's even a moment with Ryan going, "Hey, doctor, how'd you do the thing in the airplane?" And she's like, "Oh, shoot," and has to go time travel to go fix that too.
She has to Bill and Ted it.
Yeah. They literally Bill and Ted that particular moment and go, "Oh, shoot, I need to go back and do that, don't I?" Okay, be right back.
All right, so what did I like about the serial? You know, I've been so busy, I haven't actually thought about it. But
well, no one said any particular acting yet.
I don't know. It wasn't really the acting, I guess. Actually, I think I liked most of the writing, with one exception. I liked the way things went. The fact that there wasn't much of a lag in what was going on, and when it was just to drop some character development.
Very
So-
quickly, yes.
So wow, finally one of us say that the writing was a favorite aspect in a Chibnall story.
I have to give it to the Balchidian. He did a pretty good job on this
Hmm.
with
It's
only
almost
one
as if
problem.
the year off gave him time to actually,
Yeah,
Gave
I'm
him time to
wondering-
write
I'm
a proper opener.
I'm wondering if he has Moffat syndrome.
We don't need
You give
another
him time, he
Moffat.
can write something epic, but you put him under pressure and he chokes.
We really
Hmm.
don't need Moffat 2.0. That's why we want somebody else.
That's why we didn't want Gaddis. Could you imagine if Gaddis had been made showrunner?
Kill him.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
All right, so let's talk about what we disliked about the episode. And Tim, what he didn't like is the energy seemed to drop considerably from part one. It felt lethargic at times. I disagree.
Yeah, I was
Hmm.
gonna say that perfectly follows off of what you just said.
I disagree. The energy did drop off, but it changed.
It was a different
Yeah.
kind of energy, yeah.
Yeah, because
It
it
went
was.
from a Bond movie to something different.
It went from a Bond
Hmm.
movie to kind of a suspense hunted thriller, almost like a slasher film.
Mm.
Hmm.
If you
Kinda,
make the
sorta.
if you turn the master into Jason or Freddy, you've basically got the doctor and the doctor's new friends basically hiding from the axe murderer.
Although I am
Hmm.
wondering, I don't watch a lot of spy movies. Is the B plot, the one with the three companions, is that similar to any major properties that are known?
See, the
Um,
funny thing is we were talking about Star Wars earlier,
other than the John Saxon season, of course.
after the fact, I remember like jokingly being like, "Oh my god, the companions got the Empire Strikes Back Han Leia plot."
I'm
To a
trying to
point.
think if there was a spy thriller that starred Will Smith. I want to say in like the late '90s, early 2000s. A lot of the B plot with the companions remind me of that.
Hmm.
It was
I've heard-
also a little bit Born Identity, but just a little bit.
The touch of that, but mostly this other Will Smith movie. I can't remember what the name of it was. It was essentially Will Smith was being tracked by some sort of secret agency inside the government, and they were trying to capture him for whatever reason. And he got involved in some guy that knows about all this stuff and has been keeping himself hidden.
You're not talking about Men in Black 2, are you?
No, this is. I'm
Enemy
pretty
at
sure this
the-
was
is
even
it
before Men
Enemy
in
at the
Black.
Gate
Not
or
much
Enemy of the State
before
or
it.
something like that.
Actually, Will Smith. Give me your IMDb.
I searched Will Smith spy movie, and all I'm getting is a 2019 animated movie he's in.
Actor.
Oh, that's the
Enemy
one
of
I've
the
seen the
State,
trailer with the
maybe.
pigeons.
Not this far back. A little bit further up. What have been right here? Maybe it was a little closer to 2000s.
Yeah, I'm not finding anything.
Yeah, the closest I can find is Enemy of the State from '98.
From '98. Let me see here. Okay, that looks like it might. Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Mm.
Enemy State. I remember seeing that. I remember liking that. I would have been, I think, 16 when I saw it.
Anyway, we're getting off track.
But yeah.
Yep. Okay, so that brings to what I dislike.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it. And then, okay.
Then we went on Will
Yeah.
Smith.
So, kind of rewinding my brain there for a minute. So, what I disliked, I'm going to say that I feel like the B plot, it was entertaining enough, but I don't think it had much of a role in the final resolution. And I think a really good Doctor Who episode, the B plot is kind of essential for the final resolution. Like something to like, I don't, if the companions had done different things that still resulted in them not getting caught, I don't think it would have had any effect on the Doctor's plan, is what I mean.
Yeah, and may I also kind of tack onto that is the fact that the resolution itself is kind of hand wavy.
Mm-hmm.
She basically comes and says, "Yeah, I went back in time and took care of that."
Literally pulled the curse of failed death.
Yeah, pretty much. I noticed a couple other similarities because when the Master comes out at the end and is talking about living
yes
years,
Mm-hmm.
my brain added in a sodding sewer.
his yeah, he did have that kind of mood about him.
Of course, in this case, all he did was grow some facial hair.
Mm-hmm. Well, so did he the first time in the Curse of Fatal Death. It was after he fell in the sewer again.
Did the hair start to gray and grow longer? Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the. I swear somebody watched a bit of Curse of Fatal Death when they did that scene, and it might have been the actor playing the Master.
Maybe.
Because I remember seeing somewhere an interview with him saying that he had to go back and watch various Master stuff to try to get a grip on what the character was like.
I was going to say, it wasn't Roger Delgado.
I'm wondering if he did watch Curse of Fatal Death.
He watched Ainley, Curse of Fatal Death, and Sim.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit of Eric Robertson.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
50 years in a sodding sewer.
So Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Your least favorite thing.
It's kind of weird, but to me, it's like Barton feels like too interesting to be playing second fiddle to the Master. Like maybe it's just me. And in a weird way, on the second rewatch, on my rewatch, I'm like, he kind of feels more like the Master than the Master does.
He feels more like Delgado Master.
Yeah, like it's like if there was a two Masters story where it was someone emulating Delgado dealing with someone with emulating like RTD era.
And also,
John
didn't he
Sim.
get away at
So
the end
it's
of the
just like-
episode, I think?
Yeah, they technically both did.
Well,
so
the
he'll
Master got
probably
sent
come
to the other
back for all we know.
dimension, but yeah.
Hmm.
That makes me ponder, actually. Maybe there's something to that theory.
So
I mean, they did say that part of his DNA wasn't human, so you never know.
So I get that idea, but I also think that it's been a common trope ever since the first Doctor era that there is one human, a CEO or a similar figure that was collaborating with the aliens.
That is
and
true.
I think Barton kind of slots into that. Although I do think they basically are explaining the 7% non-human DNA was basically him testing the idea of using the DNA as a hard drive. So basically he has some sort of data stored in his DNA.
But yeah, generally it is one of those things where it's like, as much as I did enjoy the Master in this, it was also kind of like Barton was so interesting that it was kind of like, did we really need both of these villains in one story? Because now we've got technically three, because we have the Kasavan on top of those two.
We've had him dealing with humans before.
I think he's kind of Barton is kind of the avatar of the Kasavans. I think they were.
Mm-hmm.
He probably was written because the Kasavans barely speak and don't have a face,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they were like, somebody needs to actually be on screen. Well, that and the spy thriller thing would not have worked without him.
True.
All right, I think we've discussed this enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was that?
Matt?
Yeah, we're up to Matt.
Oh, didn't I? Oh no, I didn't do least favorite thing about this. Least favorite thing about this. The master kind of comes off as an idiot, especially during the
What
World War
else
II
is new?
things.
Thank you, Ren.
What was that?
The master always comes off as an idiot. I mean, even in the Delgado thing, he has this
Yeah.
great, brilliant scheme, and because the aliens that he was betraying us to betrayed him, he has to come
Yep.
back and go, Doctor, I need your help to defeat these guys.
I'm sorry, none of the previous masters were dumb enough to leave their freaking TARDIS as a cottage in the open from
Well,
modern
I'm
day
wondering-
Australia
The thing is,
with bright red lights. Couldn't have tried harder to get your attention.
what you mean when he left it like that in World War II?
Yes.
I'm wondering if it's just the fact that he had to disable the freaking
Chameleon circuit.
circuit and just forgot to put it back and was in such a hurry to stalk down the dock.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
There
was
is
so
a-
single-minded.
If that was true, they could
Yeah.
have eliminated that problem with literally a single phrase somewhere, but they don't do that either.
I mean, they do technically have the Doctor be like, "Oh, what an arrogant prick! He actually left it as the, he actually left it as this without changing it."
So the assumption is that it's still working. So yeah, that's literally the master being a complete and total knucklehead.
I mean, it is like, Nazi occupied France, so I guess he figures.
And
no
you would
one's
think
gonna
the Nazis would
question
have even
what
noticed
this
something
building
weird
is.
like that.
Unless
And I mean,
it had
she has to use the Sonic to get in, I think, because it's
Which-
like he didn't exactly leave it unlocked.
that bothered
The
the
Sonic
hell out of
should
me.
not have been. Yeah, if
Yeah.
there's no way if he properly locked that.
Number two,
would have
Sonic should
gotten-
not have opened that. Number three, even if the Sonic did open it, that thing, because it's so weird, should have not been left unguarded.
That's the Time Lord equivalent of getting into someone's house with a bobby pin.
Yeah.
I
Or
mean,
sorry,
I do
getting
wonder
into
why
somebody's
the-
like race car with a bobby pin.
Yeah. I mean, I do wonder why the interior wasn't a TARDIS interior. In this case, it's like, wait, so he modified the entire interior to look like the hut, but then didn't change
Probably.
the interior
He just
back?
changed. He just changed the desktop setting.
Well, he knew he'd have people coming in and out, so if he'd had it bigger on the
I
inside,
assume there's
it
a
would-
door hidden behind one of the bookshelves or something leading into the rest of the TARDIS.
Probably.
yeah.
He just hid the outside, the
Yeah.
console room with the rest of the outside.
Which I guess the Master has always usually been considered better at this than the Doctor anyway, so...
To some degree, yes.
But
So- Yeah, it's still barkingly dumb.
all right. So favorite scene. And Tim's favorite scene is he loves seeing the Doctor prepping for the airplane to save her companions near the end of the episode. He dubbed this method of Deus Ex Machina, where you get out of your trouble by time traveling from after the event for the event to prepare yourself, a trash can save. I call it Bill and Tedding it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're officially making the time loop that needs to happen.
Yep. Bill, your favorite scene?
So I think I'm going to go with the chat aboard the Eiffel Tower with the Doctor and the Master just kind of rehashing their history, or at least like reliving it, and meanwhile the Doctor is
and retconning
breaking down and finishing out the Master's plan because the Master's too arrogant to realize that that's even an option at this stage.
Yeah.
retconning their history too.
Oh.
Legopolis
Which
was
way?
kind of retconned to happen at Jordal Bank, which, oddly enough, it was originally supposed to take place at Jordal Bank, but as they couldn't afford filming there, they changed it to the Pharos Project, and only used a BBC broadcast antenna, and then just used cutscenes of a radio telescope. So
it might have just been someone, whoever was tasked with researching that, kind of flubbed it.
possibly.
Shame.
Like I saw mentioning that was a reference to the Ferris Project, but that's the most that I had found.
Mm-hmm. But that was never confirmed to have been Jordal Bank. Like I said, that was not really.
I will say I also like this scene because it they flat out, it's like, okay, wait, why is the Master walking around in Nazi uniforms? Like, he's not exactly, like something Hitler would like. But then it's like, oh no, something I
Perception
picked
filter.
up back on, yeah. And like, which is funny because I'm just like, well, they could have used this to like, he kind of says like perception filter, but also like some hypnotic thing. And it's like, well, like it's always been part of the Master's thing that he could hypnotize people. So it's like, yeah, that
Well, that's my
works.
assumption of how he got out of being pinned there by Nazis. He just did a hypnosis on them and went,
Yeah.
okay, and I'm getting out of here.
They line him up in front of the firing squad. He's like, yeah, just can I just have some last words? I am the master, and you will obey me.
And please have me a watch.
All right. So that was Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you, Matt.
No, that was Bill.
Oh.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
was just kind of latching on at the end to bring something up. For me, there's two that I really like, but you know what? I'll go with the one that actually got the biggest reaction out of me. On my first watch, and that was, you can argue both, but I'll go with the first time it happens, where the Doctor wipes. Oh my god, I can't remember her name, but the World War II woman.
I have their
Nor.
things up here. Yeah, Nor.
Yeah, Nor. When she wipes her memory of these events, because I was just, as soon as it happened, I'm like, yes, that makes so much sense. Like, suddenly it just like it clicked as I'm watching. It's like, oh my god, yes. I don't think the Doctor's necessarily ever had a reason to do this before. I mean, probably, but it's like, oh my god, yes, this makes so much sense.
See,
It's like,
I wasn't a fan of
undoing
wiping.
the fuck with history thing.
I wasn't a fan of the wiping everything. Like I'm pretty sure that H.G. Wells and Winston Churchill and Mary Shelley never had to have their memories wiped.
Neither did Madame de Pompadour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. It came off as very Superman 3-ish. Was it 3? No, Superman 4-ish. That's the
Yeah,
one.
the only person he's ever wiped the memory from was Donna.
Mm.
And Donna, that was because her brain was literally trying to burn itself out. So,
Mm-hmm. And he and apparently he even added a failsafe in case it did try to remember. It would just blast everything. And she'd be rendered unconscious.
Yeah, like, I do find it interesting in the sense that, like, this was normally a thing that the Time Lords above the Doctor could do, like when they wipe.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the
Zoe
CIA
and
did
Jamie.
fucking recklessly, willy nilly.
oh yeah, they
I have
probably
no
had
doubt.
they probably had the Time Lord equivalent of Obliviator squads.
Mhm.
Yeah, just gotta maintain the timeline.
They're the equivalent of Agent K, just flashing everybody. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
But yeah, I get, like, it is one of those things where it's like, okay, why wasn't this ever done prior? But it's still, to me, it was like a nice touch of, they've seen stuff they probably shouldn't have. So, oh well, at least for this story, we're gonna remember too.
All right, Matt.
Favorite scene.
I've got two, so.
Trying to think which one I want to go with. One that hopefully hasn't been picked yet, I think. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with the visit to Gallifrey.
Okay, yeah, nobody's
Mhm.
mentioned that one. It was a sad moment. I mean,
It's a sad moment, and I'm just like, oh, can we
Mm.
just not? Have we done enough harm to these people?
remember we're talking favorite scene here, right, Matt?
Yeah, but it was just like that was my general reaction of I feel a lot pity for the Gallifreyans at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like Matt's point is that it works.
It's good, but it's
Like,
good in a
yeah.
kind of a sad way. It's just like,
Okay.
Yeah.
why again?
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, that was a good scene. One of
Mhm.
my favorite scenes is the point where the master comes into the exhibition.
Yeah.
I swear to God, he was channeling Sweeney Todd.
What was it? The Incredible Shrinking Lady?
Yes.
The incredible shaking lady bit, yes.
You, sir, how about you? I'm like, oh my God, he's going Sweeney Todd. Because that's literally, my brain was like, come visit your old pal Sweeney. How about a shave? That same just malicious
Mm.
voice and mannerism. I'm like, God, they should get this guy on stage.
Oh, he
Uh,
probably is stage.
He's an actor in England.
experienced.
I'm sure he's
Yeah.
worked on stage.
Yes, but no, I meant like to do Sweeney Todd.
Hmm. Like it was also interesting because he was doing he was doing some like campy or sort of like haha I'm really having fun with this, but then also went like dead serious, like fucking someone robbing a bank kind of like stop fucking moving or I'll shoot you all kind of
Mhm.
Did you move?
anger.
Did you move? No.
Mm.
Sorry. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Sorry then. Sorry. Zap. Never mind.
it's just the voice and the mannerism is just that
Mm.
so like just dripping with maliciousness. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Because when when it gets to the bit of telling the doctor to kneel, I could only hear both Loki and Zod.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Oh,
that
yes,
was
yes.
a very Zod.
The second he said Neil, my brain went before Zod.
Yes.
The immediate response it was in my brain. But no, for me it was the point where just when he first came into the exhibition,
Yeah.
that was just freaking beautiful.
Mm. Yeah, like my second choice was the bit after where he's like seems like, haha, I've got you dead to rights, doctor, and then the doctor's just like, oh shit, you don't have it's like you don't have control over the Kasavan at all.
Yes, but then that
Like, this
gets
is
into
great.
that gets into the Neil scene, and like I said, that went that my brain went before Zod, so it was just like God. What was my other scene? Because I had another one that I really liked because of other reasons. I can't remember it. All right. So let's talk about what we did. What was our least favorite scene? Tim's least favorite scene was the scene where the companions sit around talking about the doctor seemed to slow things down a bit too much. I thought that was actually a bit of character development.
Mm-hmm. I think Tim has done too much of a 007 kick.
Yeah.
It's
that was
obvious
the-
this
that was-
episode is on a very different speed.
Because that was a bit of the pointing out what they didn't know about the doctor, which is
and
it's
that
a bit
was
of a
them
point out of
trying-
the flaws
yeah.
of these characters that they should have learned more by now.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I mean, that was them trying to figure out like what's the deal with the master. Like they'd never really encountered Time Lords, and
Yeah.
Yeah, that made sense to me. So I'm not with Tim on that one. Bill, how about you? What was your least favorite scene?
So my least favorite scene was while the doctor gives her big speech, her two temporary companions are just standing silently over her shoulder like Rassilon's minions. And I'm just like, can't they do something? Can they say something maybe? Like, they were perfectly outspoken before. Can they be involved in this scene in which they're
Can
so
they at least
visible
give
in?
the finger? Yeah.
Or yeah, can they like they were literally like they were statues? Like, I'm not even sure if I saw them breathing during that scene. Like, they
Can we
could have
can we
been.
MC this and just have them bouncing around the background while another character
Yeah,
over someone else's shoulders like,
like-
what the fuck?
Like, was it a matte painting of them? Like, what?
Were they paid per scale for dialogue?
Right?
Mm.
If they
All
move
right.
in this scene, we have to pay them. We have to pay them
Yeah.
more.
All
It
right.
wouldn't surprise me if they possibly shot reaction stuff for them and just due to time cut them out, maybe.
Possibly, but I don't know.
Okay, Thomas, how about you? What was your least favorite scene?
Um. God, I feel like it. God, there was something.
Oh, I remember what my
Um,
other favorite scene was now. That was the Doctor and the Master talking telepathically because I was just like, yes,
Oh.
justified.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
God.
actually a legit good scene.
Mm.
Just like, hello, it's been a while since we did these old tricks. Want to meet someone to actually talk? Sure.
But no, it's just the fact that the fact that Time Lords could talk to each other telepathically had been implied but never actually done. So I was just like, yes.
Yeah, he had only ever
Um,
done it on screen with himself before.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Or it had been like a split sort of. Isn't there like a? Oh no, wait, no, yeah, that's the Doctor with themselves. Yeah, that I was thinking of. Whoops, where they're doing like an information exchange type deal
Mm-hmm.
or something. I feel like. But yeah, as far as worst, like least favorite scene goes, I feel like I had one, and it was kind of I don't know, maybe. God, just for the simple fact, like we were bringing it up earlier, and I guess I would probably go with like the fact that the Doctor's able to get into the Master's TARDIS so easily, just because it's like
gonna say
when
that
you think
backup.
about it, it's like in part one. Do you think I would be stupid enough to make it so you could use the sonic on that bomb, Doctor? Of course I fucking planned for that. It is kind of a retroactive thing of but that setup that the the master is like smart enough to have prepped for that. Granted, I guess the master probably no, wait, no, that wouldn't work. I was gonna say, wait, well, the master wouldn't expect that to be a thing. It's like, no, wait, the whole reason he's there is because he's chasing after the Doctor. So it's like, yeah, you would think you'd think the master would have some, or even if it's like, wow, I got in pretty easy. And then there was some sort of booby trap in the
Yeah.
TARDIS.
Something.
Yeah, it just bothered the heck out of me.
It's way too easy.
All right, Matt, how about you?
Our three main companions finally get to the device that's gonna make the alien invaders spread across the Earth and turn humans into hard drives, and they can't do shit. And they just stand around just like the other new companions. Only they stand around for even longer, listening to both the Master and the Doctor go at each other. So yeah, they basically their entire subplot, even though there's some good moments to it, ends in a complete and total waste of time.
So mine is the fact that the reveal scene where he's basically planning on turning humanity into hard drives.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he wouldn't have gotten that far in his speech before security dragged him out of the building.
I was so certain he was going to be like your value as power supplies. I'm like, oh, it's the Matrix, and then he said hard drives, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
That's a thing, I suppose.
I mean, you could argue that he
Still
probably
loopy.
had security on his payroll, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Considering he
know-
was still calling for help from security, like after that,
it's
they're
just the
they must be Team Flare, basically, is what this is for those who follow, for those familiar with Pokemon.
it's just got to the fact that it's like, it's obviously turning malicious and nobody does a thing.
Yeah, like no one in the audience seems to
They
be
just, they
taking him
just look at him
seriously.
dead-eyed.
Yeah, sheeple. It was literally
Yeah.
sheeple at that point. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, no.
I'm pretty sure one person even nods along with what he's saying, and I'm like, wait,
Because,
what?
yeah, if I had been in that crowd and that was going on, I'd have been leaving the building. I'd have been on the building and I probably would have been calling 999 at that point.
Mm.
Which, actually, that was taking place in London, so it would be 999.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I mean, considering some of the cult mentality I've seen from certain aspects of tech communities on social media, I can definitely believe that there would be hundreds of people backing him. And like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's the right thing to do.
Oh, you're going to turn me into a hard drive. Okay, cool. Sign me up.
Like within seconds, they would be arguing why that was the most logical plan.
I don't know. No, not me. Not me, man.
Well, I would hope most of the people in this room were a little bit smarter than that, but sad fact is, there are a bunch of brain-damaged munties. Bunch of brain-damaged, silly little people that just were like, I will do whatever the tech tells me.
All right, so final thoughts. Tim's is part 1 was more exciting than part 2 overall, but the Doctor herself was better in the second part. All right, Bill, your final thoughts.
So my final thoughts are that well, there's a lot of little scene. I think I actually managed to talk about most of the individual scenes. One thing I did not get a chance to talk about because it doesn't really fit into our format is that what direction I really thought this episode was going, and I'm kind of disappointed it did not. So they set up one that the cassava were taking people's consciousness away from them in some way. Two, that when that happened to Ada, she was in their realm, and to Yaz for that matter, that she was in their realm being studied and whatever, and could be brought back. And then 3, they set up everything you think you know is a lie, which I guess was specifically about the timeless child or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But I really, putting those together, I was really expecting a reveal at the end of the episode that the Doctor convinced the cassava to restore all of the spies back to their full selves. And I really thought that's how the episode was going to end, and that did not happen. Like that was my thought halfway through the episode, and then by the time the episode ended, that did not happen.
It seemed like they kind of picked and chose who they actually killed and who they just plucked and sucked into the other dimension, to be honest.
But
like, I think they say, which of course is another thing. It's like they say that the reason Yaz and the Doctor were fine was because they were time travelers, but they don't really give a reason for why. I think with Ada, it was just that
that was kind of a hand wave, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like, especially with that whole everything you think you know is a lie, I really thought that's the direction that they were building up towards. So I was kind of disappointed that's not what they did. So that said, I think it was an enjoyable serial. There are a lot of nitpicky scenes that I would do differently, but I think the overall whole was still pretty functional. And that overall the things I would change are mostly not major parts of it. So overall, I think this was a better than average episode. Serial.
Story.
Yeah.
Okay, Thomas.
while like my main like thing that I'm glad about is the fact that this didn't feel like, while you can still make the argument that episode 2 probably wasn't as good as episode 1, it didn't feel like an insane drop in quality. um Even if like you could still argue part 1 is better, but to me it at least felt like for what this was doing and who was writing it, this at least stuck the landing. It wasn't necessarily, an entirely smooth landing, but they didn't, nosedive. Um so yeah, for me it was just that now I can say that I do not think this is as good as Countryside by I wouldn't say necessarily a wide margin, but again, for Chibnall, I would still put this above pretty much most other stuff of his I've seen as far as Doctor Who related, so Doctor Who or Torchwood goes, aside from, even if it's still a distant second, I would still put it second to Countryside. I'm mainly looking forward to where stuff goes from here, which is honestly like something that I'm glad about, that I'm actually looking forward to seeing how this pans out. Hopefully they don't fuck it up. But yeah, I honestly think this two-parter is worth checking out. Um even though it's like sort of brings up stuff from series 11, sort of, this could kind of even works as a jumping on point, weirdly enough. So I think people could jump in on this and not really be missing too much. But yeah, I would definitely recommend people actually give this a chance.
All right, Matt.
I do agree. There's a lot of nitpicks that we have about this. I will say, however, that the majority of the story is still pretty well written and holds together nicely enough. Everything has got at least some sort of an answer, even if it's not always the most satisfactory answer. And it's nice to have at least a semi decent conclusion and another solid two-parter down. So, other than that, I guess I'm still kind of hoping to see that we continue to be at least at a decent quality rest of the season, but we have to wait and see.
All right. So, my opinion, compared to a lot of what we had last season, this is definitely a improvement. And I'm talking Chibnall episodes, not things like Rosa or, this is definitely a step up for Chibnall in getting quality out. The first part, as we mentioned last time, was a nice joy, and this one was more of a suspense, and it did that fairly well. It only really failed on hand waving the resolution to the secondary bad. Dealt with the master pretty well, and then set things up to go further. So yes, I'm enjoying myself at this point. So I'm looking forward to seeing more episodes. Whereas, I think I was optimistic starting last season and lost it. So I'm hoping that my optimism will stay further.
Have to see on that.
But the acting was good. The writing was okay, bordering on good. Special effects were fine. Direction was wonderful. So yeah, I'm thinking this was pretty good in both its parts. The first was better than the second, but there's only a slight difference in quality. Let's go to our ratings. Tim is first and gave it a 3.5, which is odd for Tim. I think he's becoming a critic.
4.0 for me.
This is for both parts, correct?
Yes, this is a combined
Yeah.
score. Yep, you're next.
Yeah, it's funny because my score would have been fairly higher last week, but I don't think it drags it like a ton down. At least not as bad as Tim rated it. So yeah, I'll probably just go with Bill and give this a 4.
Matt?
For me, the first episode was an easy 5, and this one's an easy 4, so it lands right in the middle at 4.5.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with the flow and give this a 4.
Oh wow, I became the Tim.
I think yesterday's or last week's episode would have been a 4.5, and this one would have been just below a 4, so it comes out to about just about a 4.2.
So the 4s have it.
So the 4s have it because it averages to 4. And that will put this episode at number 151 out of 325 things reviewed, just barely in the top half.
Just barely.
It is on par with A Good Man Goes to War, Attack of the Cybermen, The Runaway Bride, Vengeance on Varos, Heaven Sent, Terminus. There's some good shit in this. The Invisible Enemy, Castrovalva, Light at the End, Planet of the Spiders, Rose. It is better than Knock Knock, The Deadly Assassin, Brain of Morbius, Colony in Space, Warrior's Gate, Into the Dalek, Kerblam, Midnight, Monster of Peladon, etc. And it's not as good as Oxygen, The Daemons, The Pilot, It Takes You Away, Closing Time, The Girl Who Died, Fires of Pompeii, Death to the Daleks, etc. So there we go, 151 out of 347, or 325, excuse me. That's all we have to say about Spyfall.
So please give us your thoughts in the comments. So what do you think about the episode? What are some of the major scenes that you think we didn't talk about enough, or that you agree or disagree with how we describe them? And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and follow on Twitch so that you can keep getting our new updates on new episodes of Series 12.
All right. So next week, we continue with our coverage of Series 12. The Doctor and crew try to go on vacation and fail in Orphan 55, written by Ed Heim and starring Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, Bradley Walsh as Graham O'Brien, Tosin Cole as Ryan Sinclair, and Mandeep Gill as Yasmin Khan. We will see you next week.
Drink your pina coladas in hell.